Number 6. Demeter and Arethusa. With Zeus acting as a mediator, Demeter finally reached an agreement with her brother Hades regarding Persephone's fate. Persephone would spend half the year with her mother and the other half with her husband, the king of the underworld. Relief washed over Demeter, and the joy reflected in her face was as radiant as the sun breaking through clouds. Now at ease and reunited with her daughter, Demeter turned her attention to Arethusa. "Tell me, dear nymph," Demeter inquired, "what led you to become this sacred spring?" Arethusa, emerging from the depths of the fountain, first dried her glistening hair. Then she began to recount the tale of a river god's relentless pursuit. "I was once a nymph," Arethusa began, "who lived in Achaia. I was known for my agility and skill in hunting. Though I wasn't one to seek beauty's praise, I was considered a fair maiden. But the compliments did little for me. Unlike other women, I found it embarrassing to be admired for my looks. In fact, I viewed it as a burden." She continued, recalling a specific incident. "One day, I was returning from the Stymphalian woods, exhausted and hot from the exertion. I came across a crystal-clear stream, so tranquil that I could see every pebble at the bottom. The banks were shaded by ancient willows and poplars, offering a cool refuge. Tempted by the inviting water, I dipped my toes first, then waded in knee-deep. Feeling refreshed, I decided to take a full swim. I took off my clothes and laid them on a nearby willow branch before diving into the cool water. While I was splashing around, enjoying the cool water, a strange sound arose from beneath the stream's surface. Startled, I scrambled to the bank. 'Arethusa, where are you going?' boomed a voice from the water. It was Alpheus, the river god. Without bothering to retrieve my clothes, I fled in terror. Alpheus, seeing me naked, became even more determined to chase me. The faster I ran, the more relentless his pursuit became. It was like a trembling dove fleeing a hawk. I raced across fields, mountains, and rocky terrains, with the sun beating down on my back. My fear cast an enormous shadow before me, and the sound of his approaching footsteps only amplified my terror. Exhausted, Arethusa cried out for help. "Aid me, Dictina, goddess of the hunt," she pleaded. "I, who carried your bow and quiver, beg for your protection." The goddess, moved by Arethusa's plight, shrouded her in a thick cloud. Blinded by the sudden darkness, Alpheus searched frantically for his quarry, circling the spot twice before realizing she was gone. "How I felt then," Arethusa confessed, "was like a helpless lamb surrounded by howling wolves, or a terrified rabbit frozen under the gaze of hunting dogs." Alpheus refused to give up. He remained by the cloud, watching and waiting. The fear and exertion caused Arethusa to break into a cold sweat. Soon, drops of water began trickling down her body, and wherever her foot touched the ground, a pool formed. Her hair dripped water as well. "In the blink of an eye," Arethusa continued, "I was transformed into a flowing stream." But Alpheus, recognizing the water as his beloved, cast aside his human form and merged with the stream to be one with her. "Artemis, the Delian goddess," Arethusa explained, seeing what transpired, split open the earth. I sank through dark caverns until I emerged in Ortygia, a place dear to me as it bears the name of my own goddess, Artemis. Number 7. Lyncus is changed into a lynx. The Pierides are changed into magpies. After hearing Arethusa's story, Demeter, the goddess of agriculture, took action. She harnessed 2 powerful dragons to her chariot, climbed aboard, and soared between the earth and sky. Her destination, the citadel of Tritonus, home to Triptolemus. Demeter entrusted Triptolemus with a critical mission. She gave him seeds and instructed him to travel the world, scattering them on both neglected land and land recently brought back into cultivation. Triptolemus, in his celestial chariot, embarked on his journey across Europe and Asia. His travels eventually led him to Scythia, a land ruled by King Lyncus. Triptolemus entered the king's palace and introduced himself. "I come from the renowned city of Athens," Triptolemus announced. "My name is Triptolemus, and I haven't arrived by ship or on foot. The heavens themselves opened a path for me. I bring gifts from Demeter, seeds that will transform your fields into bountiful sources of food and sustenance." However, King Lyncus was filled with envy. He desired the credit for bringing this gift to his people, so he feigned hospitality and invited Triptolemus to stay. But when Triptolemus fell asleep, Lyncus approached him with a sword, intending to kill him. Demeter, ever watchful, intervened. Just as Lyncus raised his weapon, she transformed him into a lynx, a ferocious wild cat. With the threat neutralized, Demeter sent Triptolemus back on his airborne journey. The story then shifts back to the Muses' competition with the Pierides, the daughters of Pieris. The competition had concluded, and the victor was clear. "The greatest of us has finished her song," one of the Muses declared, announcing their victory. The defeated Pierides, however, refused to accept their loss gracefully. They hurled insults and threats at the Muses. "You think it's a mere trifle that we lost this contest?" one of the Pierides shrieked. "You add insult to injury. We won't tolerate this. We'll get revenge, no matter what it takes." The Muses, however, remained unfazed by their empty threats. They simply smiled, watching in amusement as the Pierides' bodies began to transform. Feathers sprouted from their arms, replacing their nails. Their faces elongated into beaks, and their voices, once used for insults, were now destined for chattering. As they tried to beat their chests, their arms transformed into wings, lifting them into the air. They were no longer human, but magpies, forever destined to be noisy birds known for their chatter. Even in their avian form, the Pierides retained their love of talking, a constant reminder of their arrogance and their humiliating defeat.